Okay, Aussie Vapors, how are you? Hope your journey is going well. Before I start the video, I'd like to give a big shout out to esigforlife.com.au, because they're the only company with e-cigs in Australia who have actually sort of been personable for me in my journey of stopping smoking. I've had someone to talk to there, guide me through how to fix things, and I'm doing this video in a way to return the favour, because I've had a few issues with things, and I've asked them, what do they get asked the most, and this is, these are the sort of questions that with these sort of Clearomizers and stuff that they have problems with. And I'm going to attempt to do this from a phone, a little desktop light, so forgive me if it's not perfect. Okay, so what you have here, these are the sort of standard Stardust, or often they're called C5 Clearomizers. This one here, as you can see, doesn't have the threading on the bottom, is a non-rebuildable. So you can't actually screw the bottom off it here. They're just good for filling up. And the way to fill them up is you don't actually just hold on to the plastic and hold on to this. You hold on to the metal bit, because that actually has a thread there as well. And if you just sort of do that, eventually you will strip the thread going onto the plastic part of the Clearomizer, which will end up sort of breaking it. So I recommend holding on to this, undoing the mouthpiece, the drip tip, that way. Very important. Comes off, and you fill it up by putting it in, holding it on sort of 40, holding it on that angle, not up like that, because you will get juice inside that little hole in there, which will give you a gurgling sound. So you put it on that angle, use the little dripper and fill it up like down there. The other thing as well is when you're putting it back on, if you notice this little rubber thing has come down a little bit like that, you want to make sure before you screw it back in that is flush, just like that. Push it up into there, holding on to the middle bit, and then screwing it down. And when you do fill it up, I always recommend, don't actually just sort of fill it up and start vaping. You actually fill it up, and before you even press the power key, say like this, before you even press the power key and start vaping, have a few dry vapes, just to actually, with no power at all, just to make sure that it's sort of bringing up, getting the air into it, and wicking the liquid up into the part where it all happens, up in there. Anyway, moving right along, here we have a rebuildable, which you're seeing more of, and you're hearing about dual coils and all that sort of stuff if you're new to this. This is actually a dual coil. It doesn't really matter if it's dual coil or not. It's actually rebuildable. You don't have to rebuild these. But the thing about these is, if you ever do plug them in and you're having a problem, and if you notice when I'm screwing it back in, I'm holding it there, not by here, because there is a thread there on the metal bit to the plastic. And you can actually unscrew that as well and then get leaks. These things are cheap. They don't last forever. So don't think you're going to make one purchase and you're set for life. Like, these things, cost under $10. They can last for months if you look after them. If you do just sort of screw it up like this, put them in your jeans pocket, sit down somewhere, you're going to snap them. So it's best to get some type of bag or some way that can keep them, and generally sitting upright, because if you do have them sitting down like that, it might take a few hours, but eventually stuff will come out, or it will leak. With these ones, rebuildables, there are sort of geeks out there who can rebuild coils and stuff like that, and you've got to really have a bit of a knowledge of electronics to do that stuff. But what it just means is, rather than buying a whole new piece of this, you can actually buy coils, and you'll see them advertised on the esigforlife.com.au website. You'll just often see coils like this, and they're slightly cheaper than buying a whole Clearomizer. So you can buy just one of these, and these do get dirty and gunked up over time. So what I recommend you do is when you make a purchase, buy a few of these and buy a few of these, and then I've also got another video that shows how to clean these. But if you're having any problems where they're not firing up, you're pushing the button down on the battery and you're not getting anything firing up, there's generally a couple of things that it could be. Is often when you are filling up a lot, every time you open this, it does actually pull that loose a little bit. So with a rebuildable, if you actually open it up before you fill it, give it a clean, you know, when you've emptied a tank, get to the bottom, take it apart, give it all a big clean, just make sure this coil head is done up nice and tight, not too tight, just finger tight. And then you put it in there, holding onto the metal bit, same as the top. And then fill it up, put that on like that. The other thing as well that can be a problem if you're not getting any firing up is this little battery connector in there. If you can actually see that little round thing, it actually has a little rubber ring around it. So the more times you push something like this in, it actually gets pushed down a little bit. So often, sometimes I actually get a small little flathead screwdriver or something, and you can actually get underneath. I'll try and do this with the camera, it's not going to be easy. You can actually get it up and sort of do it on one side, then do it on the other side. And it's like it's on a little spring, so you actually can sort of raise one side and it will move one way, and then do the other side, and we'll actually just push it up a bit, so when you actually screw this on, it will make a good connection with the bottom of the Clearomizer. The other thing as well is like battery health. I just gave this a bit of a clean before, and I haven't been doing what I'm preaching here, and they do leak a little bit, so every time, if you can get some cotton buds, and every time you plug it into the charger, just give it a bit of a clean, because there is a bit of residue in there. And to show you that, I've got a brand new charger here, hasn't been used, and here is an older one, and you can see a lot of the gunk that's on there, and you can't see the gunk on that one. So bit of maintenance for your battery and your charger as well when it's not plugged in. Just give it a bit of a clean, and you'll get some more longevity out of it. That's about it anyway. I wish you best of luck on your endeavour in stopping smoking. This is by far a way better alternative. If you have any questions, the guys from ecigforlife.com.au have a phone number, and they're about the only e-cig company in Australia which actually have sort of phone advice, because, you know, when I first started, I didn't really know anything about this, and it was like searching a foreign language, but these guys guided me through a lot. I learned so much, and this video is sort of my way of thanking them, because I think they're just you know, really great. And anyway, best of luck, vapors. This is the way of the future. Good luck.